Lithia is known as midsummer or summer solstice. It does officially mark the beginning of summer as well as the longest day of the year. Just like Yule is the shortest day of the year or the longest night of the year, summer solstice is the longest day of the year. This is a celebration of course, the sun, flowers, hot nights. It usually falls between the 20th and the 24th of June every year. This year it's on June 21st. And that is normally about when it will hit. It's very odd or off, so to speak, for it to be on the 20th or the 24th. But it's the same way with astrological signs, because they can go from the 19th to the 24th. So it just depends on which pantheon and which practice you use. Would depend on when you see that day. The sun god and goddesses are thriving at their most vibrant peak. The animals are playing in the forests, fairies are dancing on toadstools, and all of nature is flourishing. From now on, the days will be getting shorter. Many witches will celebrate Litha or Lithia by having campfires, bonfires to honor the sun deities, as well as thanking them in gratitude for their warmth and their sun. Because remember, the old religion, they followed a very agricultural, very agricultural traditions. So they followed the seasons very closely. So for summer solstice, it was more sun, more warmth, so that we can have enough food to make it through the winter that's coming up. So a lot of times it was, being around the bonfire. In today's society, because we are more evolved and we live in cities or more metropolitan areas, we don't tend to really have the big bonfires and the stuff like that. But there are people and groups out there that will do certain rituals and stuff that you can attend that can have bonfires and big fires. For example, me, I live in an apartment. I used to be on the board of Other Worlds of Wonder. My solstice was always being a part of Sunfest and helping to make sure that that event happened. However, I'm not on the board anymore, and I can't afford to go this year, so I'm going to go ahead and do something else that weekend with my family and my grandchildren, and that's something that anyone can do. Later on, towards the end of this video, I will be showing you a spell jar that you can make. I won't be walking you through it, but I will put up the graphics so that you can take notes, do whatever it is you want to do. So, along with the summer solstice coming up on June 21st, we have a full moon this coming week on the 14th. So this full moon is going to be a super moon. And at the same time that we have this, we also have Venus, Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, and Mercury all in alignment with the moon. So we have 6 planets that are basically lining up and having an alignment. Right now there is a very significant planetary impact happening for us, because I believe it's Jupiter and Venus are actually aligned for the first time in a while. So that's going to cause a lot of people to start looking at their love lives, what they're happy with, what they're not happy with. On top of that, in that alignment, we have Saturn in retrograde. So with Saturn being in retrograde, one of the things that it's going to cause us to do is take responsibility for our past actions. This may be apologizing to people around us for things that we come to realize. It may be saying, wow, I was really a jerk to that person, and there's really nothing I can do, but I can change and make sure that I don't treat other people in that manner. You restructure anything that's unstable. If you notice, there's a lot of systems right now that are kind of breaking down. That's because Saturn's in retrograde. You have to pay attention to the lessons that seem to repeat themselves, because it's kind of like Groundhog Day. You will relive it until you learn it. It's, as one of my old teachers used to say, it's a clue by 4. You're getting hit by it. you are looking back now and going, wow, I've really come far, or wow, I've really accomplished some of my goals and I really am enjoying this, you know, that kind of thing. You also are reassessing your boundaries, where before something that was just fine, now you're like, I don't like that, and so I'm going to be making a boundary out of it. You're also going to look to the wisdom from your past to help you, to guide you through this stuff. And all of this happening on a super full moon. So don't be surprised if you get bombarded by a lot of your past all of a sudden. Things coming up that didn't come up in a while. It's because you're processing them so you can let them go. Okay? You're also finding a new level of maturity. Myself personally, I've noticed it. Things that used to bother me before don't. And I've become a little bit more aware of the fact that certain things that didn't bother me because I thought were very much the norm now bother me because they've become the norm. I don't know if that makes sense. So just be aware that these are all going to culminate into something that's going to cause you to have change. So I really want to encourage you to take the summer solstice and do some kind of ritual. Even if you can't have like a fire, maybe burn a candle. Here's my total disclaimer about candles. You do not want to be the witch on the news that burnt down their house because they didn't look up when they lit their candle. Okay? When we light a candle, a lot of people pay attention to what's on the table around the candle. What we really also need to pay attention to is what's above the candle, because remember, heat rises. So if you've got really flimsy, like those beautiful linen, not linen, excuse me, those see-through curtains, sheer curtains, I think they're called. If you have something like that, if those get hot, they flame up real quick. So be sure that there's nothing above it just as much as there's nothing around it. Make sure it's a fire-safe place. And you can burn a candle and just stare at that candle and maybe go to a bonfire in the fairy realm. Do a meditation. There's plenty of, you know, wonderful resources out there. So know that as these shifts are occurring, you have to be aware of them. Each individual person is going to be impacted by this alignment and by the solstice in a different manner because of their own charts. So Google is your best friend. And all you have to do is Google, for example, when I was looking for information to be able to talk about it today because I wanted to have the proper vocabulary, I used the keywords energetic impact by planetary alignment. So basically what it did is it pulled up everything with those words in it. And I was able to go through and find what I was looking for. So, and one of the things that it repetitively said was, here's what happens if your sun signs here. Here's what happens if your rising is here. So follow whoever you tend to follow with horoscopes, because again, horoscopes are not or astrological information is not my forte. Healing is my forte. So if you really, I have several astrologers that I follow on my pages. Please feel free to check them out. I follow them myself because they can give me more insight, because I know something's going on. I just don't know quite what. So depending on those keywords, but metaphysical is a big one when you're looking up anything. Another one that came up was the spiritual impact of the planets being in alignment, the spiritual impacts of the super full moon. So look it up individually, because the energy that runs from the super full moon is like a week, I believe, 7 days exactly. And so we're coming out of one shift of the moon, because remember, we have 3 days before and 3 days after. So for that 4 days, we get like a little bit of a respite, and then we get hit with summer solstice. And that's going to be it. I'm feeling very much so that it's going to be very celebratory. People are going to see this as a huzzah, we've gotten there thing. but there's still changes that need to be made. But people are starting to awaken, and that includes ourselves. So a lot of people are struggling with that. So I have a graphic here, and what it says is you can use these different things on your altar. So like, for example, with me, you can't have a big fire or anything, but I can buy pinwheels at the Dollar Tree or your local dollar store or whatever. Butterflies, finding any kind of butterfly right now, especially with all the planetary stuff. Butterflies are huge right now due to the fact that it also is a symbol of transformation, and we are transforming right now. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of butterflies, reminding you that you are going through transformation, because now is the perfect time to do so. Any kind of roses, because this is the time of the roses. There's the Rose Festival, especially up here in Portland right now. Any kind of solar representation, sorry. So any kind of solar representation as sun, you can even put it, write it out, and you can put that picture on your altar as a representation of the sun. Use brightly colored candles. Altar flowers that are really good are not only the roses, but sunflowers. Sunflowers, self-explanatory. So there is other things you can do as well. And those things are also making spell jars. You can also make lemonade. Anything that's a summertime connection for you can either be put on your altar. Of course, with lemonade, you have to worry about sticky, you have to worry about ants. So think about that kind of stuff when you're setting up your altar. Do your pets have access to it? Because if you're going to leave them out chocolate or give chocolate as an offering, you want to make sure that your pet's not going to eat it and get sick. Lilies, for example. I love stargazer lilies. I have very fake stargazer lilies in my house because my cat loves them. But they're very poisonous. So be knowledgeable about making sure that the flowers that you're putting on your altar or what you're leaving for the gods and goddesses aren't going to be accessed by animals or children that it can hurt. So there's that. So earlier too, I said that if you don't have, a place to go to celebrate, there are other things you can do. I found this idea on the internet. I follow a lot of different Instagram pages. The Witch Down Under is one of my favorites. And I got from her, which she shared, was a Lithia mini altar. And as you can see with this graphic right here, so what you're going to need is a glass jar or a cup. Witches love jars. You can get them all sorts of mason jars at Goodwill. You can also get them in different places as well. And if you're going to can or preserve, if you can get the ambers, that actually keeps the sunlight from deteriorating what's inside faster. So, but you'll need something that you can see through, because this is going to be a mini altar for you. So it's something you want to be able to look at. This is also a really good way to make sure that your candle is protected, because it's in that glass jar. You just want to make sure that the flame doesn't hit the glass, because it can cause it to shatter. Okay, so be careful. So you'll need a candle that represents the fire energy. Again, we already talked about the other meme, and that other meme said bright colored candles. So yellow, red, orange, any colors of fire. Flowers that represent the sun. Now, you can't do a sunflower, but you can find other ones that do look like flowers. So, or look, smaller ones that look like the sun, excuse me. I was looking at the word flowers, so, But those represent the sun. Like, for example, for me, the jasmine flower, to me, represents the sun because it has the rays for it. You want soil to represent fertility and abundance. Now, here's a little tip for you. Before you can put enough dirt in there so that you can put a little hole in the middle and put the candle in it so that the dirt will hold it. Also, using a chopstick or the top end of a chopstick that's fatter, pushing down the dirt around the candle to help it hold is a really good way to make sure it's safe. Along with the soil and the candle, you're going to want to put a seashell in there because that's going to represent the water energy. Now, the water energy is going to balance out all of that sun a little bit, and as the time goes by, our days get shorter, it becomes wetter again because we go into the fall season. So, you can put something like this on your altar as well, and what this will do is something that you can focus in on that energy. And I talked about going on meditation and going and dancing with the fairies. I'm sure there are meditations here on YouTube that you can find plenty of solstice meditations to listen to. So, I really hope that you've enjoyed our chai and chat this weekend, and I hope that you have an amazing full moon on Tuesday. Don't forget to put out your moon water, you know, get your gallon. You know, I use distilled water because as I collect my moon water, I do use them for different purposes and different potions. So you can do the same thing. One of my upcoming events that I will be attending will be next month on July 17th from 10 to 6 p.m. at Pagan Fire in Cornelius. I will be at the Lunasa Summer Fair, and I hope that you'll come on out and check it out. They're going to have a bunch of vendors there, so it's going to be really cool. So if you wanted more information about that, you can check out Pagan Fire's information here. So I really hope that you have enjoyed our chai and chat today. I've had a really good time. I hope that you leave some questions down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any and all questions that you have. I hope that you're doing really well. Happy full moon, and happy summer solstice. Blessed be.